let me set up the situation. So this gal, she drove in from LA. This is a 2012 black 528. Now my customer apparently wiped out both sides of the car. So let's come in for a closer look. We've got extensive scratching and transfer. The obvious conclusion would be that she rubbed up against a white post. I know she told me that it was in her parking structure. You can see the extensive damage, and I explained to her, I cannot remove the dents. You can see this panel, actually, there's some dents to it. Never mind the transfer, the scratching. So in my other video, if you've had the pleasure of watching that, you will know that literally when it comes to scratch removal, you have to dissect not only the panel itself, but every part of the scratch. So the first step is determining, okay, what are the variables? I always start out with first, is there transfer on the car? Transfer really means some type of material, could be rubber, paint. So is it transfer? Is it scratches? Is it a combination of both? So you basically start with the top layer and work your way down. So I can remove the transfer and then it will reveal the scratching. Then I have to determine what can I do about the scratching. The first thing, as a rule, and there's always exceptions to the rule says that I'm going to deal with the scratches through the process of wet sanding and polishing before I apply touch-up paint of any kind. But like in every situation of life and detailing specifically, you always check and verify and then respond according to the specifics of the situation. So she understands, because I went through an extensive question and answering with her, hone in on her expectations. And that's part of what I'm trying to drill into your guys' head, is managing expectations. And many of you have asked specifically about touch-up paint, and the kit that I use is Applied Colors. What they don't tell you is that probably at least 40, if not 50% of the results that you can deliver to the customer have more to do with your ability to explain the limitations of touch-up paint than it does the actual kit or the techniques itself. And as a little side note, I've set up my mobile operation here. This is my Applied Colors touch-up kit. It's got 2 trays of the colors. It's got the swatch. This is always your starting point, and then you custom blend it past there. Here's different chemicals from levelers. Now, because this panel is so damaged, I'm not overthinking it, and I actually told her, because the goal for her is all about disguising. She knows that she's probably going to get more damage on this car. I'm guessing Dad probably bought it for her. So when he rolls into town, she just wants this to be disguised as much as possible so he doesn't notice it. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to have her inspect my work, but I'm actually going to re-dirty this car up with a unique strategy so as to camouflage it at the end. And that's kind of the good point here, is that it's been raining, the car's already dirty, it naturally camouflages this damage anyways. So I'm gonna clean it, fix it, and then re-dirty it to camouflage it even further. So all I do is a simple wipe down to expose what's going on here. This is the worst part of it down here, because truly this is fiberglass down here, this very lower rocker panel. This door, wow, it almost feels aluminum, if not plastic, which, you know what, when it comes to cars, it's so hard to keep up. So when it comes to transfer, I'm either going to go with a chemical or my magic eraser. In this situation, I think I'm going to go with a chemical, and believe it or not, I'm going to use acetone. So I've found that acetone is safe, lacquer thinner is safe, but use it at your own risk. Now notice that this acetone is in a metal container, because eventually it will eat certain types of plastic, but not all plastic is created equal, and the manufacturer of this, like I said, has been watered down, so they don't know how long it's going to stay on the shelves. So in this situation, I always test and then I verify. So far, I've never had a problem with it yet, but with that said, is eventually I'm sure I will find the exception to that rule. So I myself test and I verify. How do I test? I wipe and then I feel the paint. And what I'm assessing is to whether the paint or the clear coat is softening up. So that's what I'm testing for. And I want to see, because what I'm trying to do is remove any of this white paint, because a lot of this I know is scratching. It's not necessarily transfer, but I want to remove any of the transfer that is present there before I proceed into wet sanding. And so far what I can tell, aside from maybe down here, that most of this is just scratches that's showing up as white abrasions. But down here it looks like there is some actual transfer from the post that she nailed. And when I say nailed, I don't mean in a good way. So since we last spoke, I went ahead and went back over this after using the acetone. I went over it with a magic eraser and it removed more of the white to it, but I'm gonna have to wet sand this whole panel, actually both these panels, because the damage goes from all the way over here to all the way over here. Trying to attain a level 10 on this is completely unrealistic, and that's not my goal. I'm really just trying to solve a problem and doing it in the most cost-effective way. Here I have my Meguiar's sanding disc. I'm going to use a 1500 disc. I know that once I sand it with 1500 grit, I can easily remove this with my rotary and a wool pad. I'm actually going to attach it to my DA. My griots use plenty of water to keep the slurry clean and washed away. That's why we do wet sanding, is that the water allows all that debris and material to be washed away as you're using it. Which is to make sure I keep the area wet. And you'll notice that I've already set up some marker tapes. That's not really about protection, that's just a guideline when I'm sanding to make sure that I stay essentially an inch away from the tape itself. I'm going to set this to a level 3. A couple things you may have noticed. One is that I went directly over the seams. As a rule, that's like a landmine ready for you to step on and explode and blow half your body off. That doesn't mean you don't ever do it, but because of what I'm dealing with here, which is plenty of damage that I cannot fix, I'm already going to have to put touch-up paint because the edge of this has already been chipped and worn through the edge. So even if I burnt this edge, I'm going to have to apply touch-up paint. So I went over the whole panel, but then you'll notice I went through specific areas because even with the water, a sheet of water on the paint, I can still discern through it the heavy areas where the deeper scratches are. So I went back over those and did a little more sanding and trying to diminish those a little bit further. Now I'm going to do this panel. I'm going to wait till I'm done color sanding it, and then I'm going to bring you back in for the buffing part. So let me take you in for a closer look because I've done a few steps since you and I last spoke. I have wet sanded this area. I essentially went over it 3 times. The first time I kept it wet, I double checked, I could tell there were some heavy scratches as I said, so I went back over at that, then I dried it off, and I could still tell that there's some areas that needed some additional wet sanding. Really, the Meguiar's sanding discs, they pretty much suck. You'll never find those in a quality body shop. So I've got my area that I will need to now polish away the wet sanding marks. I've taped off the edge for protection, and in the event that you are noticing, it is not truly precision taping. Why? Because I'm merely responding to the element. I'm trying to get this gal in and out of here with the least amount of money out of her pocket, but still accomplish the results. So once again, I'm not shooting for level 10 here. So what I have here is my DeWalt buffer, and I'm going to set it at 1200 RPMs. It has a slow start, which means I can progressively increase the speed at the trigger. What I want to note here is, because you can't tell there in audience land how much pressure I'm putting. I've told you I'm using 1200 RPMs, and if I had to guess, I would call this or label it like medium to firm pressure. Maybe about, I don't know, I'm gonna say 15 to 20 pounds of pressure. Now I'm checking this and I noticed how many times I had to go over it. And right now, I'm literally just trying to remove the sanding marks. I'm not worried about hologramming or anything like that. I'm not trying to create more work for myself. I'm just trying to remove the sanding mark. As a rule, most beginners will use too much polish rather than not enough polish. If you start to get a little speed wobble or speed hop or whatever, polish or buffer hop, whatever you want to call it, where your buffer wants to start doing this, because you will have to respond and adjust to every nuance and curvature of the panel. It's normal. I mean, after 25 years, I still do it because every panel is unique. Once again. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Obviously the deep scratches are still there, but you can tell they've been sanded and smoothed out. The white is going to be gone. So now you're just going to see black blemishes within the paint itself. I'm going to finish polishing this area, not bore you with those details, and I'll bring you back in the end. So I have finished polishing all the areas. Let me back up a little bit. My goal was to remove the sanding marks in the most efficient way possible. The second goal past that is to finish it with the least amount of hologramming or buffer trails, so that now I'm going to go back over it with a DA buffer and finish to perfection. At this point, I have not polished out the edges here. So I'm removing the tape, and as a rule, whenever you remove tape, you do it at an angle away. I don't know what you want to call that. You don't pull it like this. You pull it down against the tape itself at an angle. Now in this situation here, if I were to polish this for a great length of time, and then I remove this tape, you would literally be able to see an edge where the clear coat has been sanded and polished down. So even though I've sanded this, now I've polished it to remove the sanding marks, so I'm reducing the thickness of the clear coat more and more the more I touch it and do work on it. I'm going to use minimal compound right in the middle. And I'm just going to first just kind of go along and tap it. And honestly, this is where experience does come in, because I've done this so many times, I already know about what it's going to take to burn this edge and to remove the paint off of it. I have success! I've already begun work on this other side. I just want to take a before. We've got extensive scratching all over. I'm not going to take you through the whole process here. I want to just pan through it so you can see a before. See how bad this is. And then I will bring you in for the finished product. Okay, we have completion. So let's pull back, and because I want to show you a demonstration of what I mean when it comes to specifically scratch removal and paint touch-up. Now it is shaded, it's cloudy, it's sprinkling. So this is the point. Before, when I first got this car, you could literally see the damage from 50 feet away. I'm probably about 15 feet away now. I kid you not. The further back I went, you would still be able to see that damage. So this is where I explain to my customers, and I'm going to explain to you guys. Now, just so you know, I did not prep or finish the top. All I'm worried about is the sides and get it all muddy and dirty and wet and everything else. But I want her to be able to inspect it with essentially a clean canvas, the finished product, before she gets it dirty. So before, I could come back this far and still see the damage. So this is the game I play. It's like, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, how close do you want to be able to look at your car and have it look perfect? Now, I am not a miracle worker. You can start possibly seeing the damaged areas. Now, you won't be able to see the wet sanding and polishing. What you're going to see is the touch-up paint that I had to apply over the paint. So as we get closer and closer and closer, it will start to reveal itself right along here, right along there. So based on the lighting that I'm picking up, you'll be able to see where I had to apply touch-up paint over the paint. As you pull back and you look under what I call normal viewing distances, you be the judge. Do you think it's going to pass the test and the scrutiny of father? I think it will. I think when she pulls up, because she's going to be scoping it out as she comes down the street, I think as she pulls up, she's going to be like, WTF? Did this guy like paint my entire car? I don't see anything But then she'll get out of the car and she'll walk up to the car and she'll take a closer look, and then her eye, based on the cloud cover and where she decides to look from, it will either reveal more or less of the damage. But in this world, based on the expectations of which I set her up for, there's no way she's not going to be happy. Hopefully you guys have learned something along the way. Until next time, we will see you on the other side.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room.